Assalamualaikum, my name Muhammad Imran Faris bin Muhammad Idrus. I'm the first presenter for practice variability and specificity. Okay, what is practice variability? Practice variability refer to the variety of movement and contact characteristics that the learner experience while practice a skill. Movement and contact characteristics that can be varied in practice, which is skill variation that will be required in the test condition. Second, contact in which the skill is performed and situation in which the skill occurs. Okay, variable versus constant. Okay, I will tell you the difference between variable practice and constant practice. Okay, firstly is practice. Variable practice is practice situation including the one variation of skill. Okay, practice schedule where multiple variation, like for example, we throw the ball with a different weight to the different goal. Okay, from the constant practice practice the situation including several variation of skill. Practice schedule where a single variation is just a one variation only. For example, we throw the same ball to the same goal, or we throw the same ball the same way to the same goal. Okay, the future performance benefit of the practice variability. More practice variable is better for learner and performer in future test situation, less variability. This is because when we learn just a same variable, it doesn't have a difference. So when we have a variable practice, we can learn about that mistake, and we can learn a new when we can do a correction. Okay, practice variability can be related to the increased amount of common error during practice. So when we learn the practice variability, we need to learn for the error during practice. Okay, performance error benefit learning. Okay, performance error benefit learning can show more performance error can be better than less error for skill learning. So when we learn more error than the right, so we can do a correction like that. So when it occur in the initial learning stage.
Okay, I will continue for this slide. Before that, I will introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Faizal bin Ismail. Okay, for the contextual interference, there have two. The first one is the memory and performance description, the result for performing variations of a skill within the context of practice. Originally described by Betting, 1979, and variation amount of contextual interference can occur during practice depending on the schedule of the practice variability. And the second one is the contextual interference effect occur when higher amount of contextual interference are involved in practice than lower amount. Okay, the next slide is practice schedule, which is amount of contextual interference. They have three stages. First is high stage, second is moderate stage, and the last one is low stage. Okay, we go to the first stage, which is high stage. High stage is random order of trial of all task variation and the series order of trials of all task variation. Next, we go to the moderate stage. Moderate stage random repetition of short blocks of trial of each task variation. And the moderate stage is serial repetition of short block of trial of each task variation. And the last stage is low stage, which is not non-repeat block for trial of each task variation. Okay, next slide, we go to the research evidence for the contextual interference effect. They have two evidence, which is laboratory experiment and non-laboratory experiment. So we go to the first one is laboratory experiment. The laboratory experiment that we see experiment by Shi and Morgan, 1979, which is first demonstration of the effect of learning motor skill. Next, we go to the non-laboratory experiment. For the beginner learning multiple skill variation, which is a McGill and Gooder, 1989, 1986, which is a badminton serve. Skill athlete practicing to improve performance of multiple skill variation. For the Hell et al. 1994, he showed basketball player hitting different type of pitching. Next, we go to the contextual interference and judgment about learning. A characteristic of block practice schedule F2, which is learning overestimate their learning. And the second one is performance during practice misleads them to judge they are learning more than they actually are. Next, we go to the limit of the contextual interference effect. They have two effects contextual interference, which is research show much support of the contextual interference effect, but also show that it does not apply to all motor skill learning situation. And the second one is characteristic related to the limit of the effect. So the limit of the effect have two, motor skill characteristic and learning characteristic.
Next is practice specificity. So in early of the slide, I tell you about practice variability. Okay, the second is practice specificity. In this practice, I can tell you about the practice specificity hypothesis, and we need to know what is practice specificity is. This practice is test performance that is directly related to the similarity between characteristic of the practice and the test condition. Okay, what is practice specificity hypothesis? This hypothesis relate primarily to certain characteristics associated with practice and test context. It has a three type of characteristic, which is sensory perceptual characteristic. Second is performance context characteristic, and third is cognitive processing characteristic. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.